I think it's an important milestone because when you get to the six-figure level, I think it sends the message to people that Bitcoin is here to stay. I think there's been multiple stages of Bitcoin, right? There were the early years when it wasn't clear what it was or whether it would survive. Then there were the block size war years when there was a big fight over the identity of Bitcoin and what was Bitcoin and what wasn't Bitcoin. And then I think from 2020 to 2024, I would say those were the crazy years, but there was the big question was, is Bitcoin an institutional grade asset? Will it be embraced by governments, by corporations, by institutions, by traditional capital markets? And there was back and forth, and there was a lot of skepticism. And some people said it's too good to be true. Some people said it's so good they'll ban it. Some people said, well, there'll be a little bit, but it won't be much. And then there's a big fight over, is it a currency or is it capital? And I think that since November 5th, right, we've seen kind of a surge from like 68, 67, all the way through 100. I think the answer that's been questioned, the question that's been answered is Bitcoin here to stay? Is it an institutional grade asset? Will it be embraced by the wealth and the power of the world? And I think busting through 100,000 is a numeric punctuation to the emphatic answer to that question, which is yes.
Yeah.
It will be embraced.
A resounding yes. You've never been more right in your strategy than at this very moment with Bitcoin at $103,000. What's the ride been like? I mean, I think, not just Bitcoin, but MicroStrategy is maybe the most important and biggest story in global markets this year, certainly from a stock. It's the best performing stock in the world. What's that ride been like this year?
It's been exhilarating, and it's full of highs and lows. I think in the middle of 2020, it started with an act out of frustration and desperation. It was like, we're going to take a strategic move because the alternative is a slow death or a quick death. And once you get to the point where your back is against the wall, you're going to do something. So at that point, we were a bit frustrated and we took our first Bitcoin position. Then Bitcoin began to rally. And when Bitcoin rallied back toward the all-time high at the time, which was heading toward 19,000, we moved into an opportunistic phase. And we opportunistically found we could raise money in the convertible bond market for less than 1% interest. And it's like, if someone wants to give you billions of dollars for free to pursue your business strategy, right? What CEO wouldn't take the money for free, right? And so, yeah, we did that. And then we moved into sort of the terrorized zone. I think Bitcoin soared up, then it crashed on the Chinese.
Yeah, the China ban.
First the China ban. And then there was the environmental ESG FUD.
Right, Elon discovered that it used electricity all of a sudden.
Yeah, we fought our way through that. And then it surged back up again. And then we went into the crypto winter.
Michael Saylor had a meltdown recently, ranting about people not believing in Bitcoin enough and strengthening the blockchain network. Bitcoin is teetering on a pivotal threshold. The crypto market, painted in red this Sunday morning, is witnessing a sea of losses. Heavy hitters like Ethereum, XRP, and Solana are feeling the burn. But it's Michael Saylor who has captured everyone's attention with a scathing message to all non-believers, alongside cryptic messages about Bitcoin's near future. Welcome back to Investocracy Crypto.
On October 30th, MicroStrategy announced our 21-21 plan. We had basically gone and done one convert, a second convert, a third convert, a fourth convert, and a few $1 billion of ATM issuance. So we had raised quite a bit of capital, but we were doing it piecemeal, quarter by quarter, and we decided it was time for us to be more strategic. So we announced a $21 billion equity shelf registration and a $21 billion fixed income plan over 3 years. That was the biggest equity shelf registration in the history of capital markets. So no one ever sold $21 billion of equity like that, ever, right? And that kind of flies past some people because it's like, what I'm saying is like out of every company, ever.
Right.
Never done before.
The Bitcoin demand and the Bitcoin company did it.
Yeah, one Bitcoin company did it. And of course, we did it because we have the world's best use of proceeds, right? The first time in human history, you have a commodity that returns higher than the S&P with higher volatility than the S&P. So you have 60 vol, 60 ARR on Bitcoin going for many years versus 15 for the S&P. Now you had a commodity, high vol, high performance. You can put 100% of your balance sheet. Well, that means in theory, you can issue infinite equity, right? I mean, as long as you can return more than the S&P. Every other commodity, I mean, real estate, art, gold, it's 10 vol, 10 ARR, 7 vol, 7 ARR, 5. So everything other than Bitcoin was always less than the cost of capital. MicroStrategy, we kind of discovered a crypto reactor that could be fueled by Bitcoin, and we put a crypto reactor in the middle of our company. It's kind of like turning on a nuclear reactor or putting an internal combustion engine in a horseless carriage. And that's what we learned in 2024. And we came in October 30th and we said, this is what we're going to do. And that was very well received by the capital markets. That was a big success.
Yeah.
And the day after we did that, our stock outperformed every Magnificent Seven company, and our stock outperformed every Bitcoin company and outperformed Bitcoin. And that was a very important signal to the market, which is the capital market's going to line up behind an operating company to pursue a Bitcoin treasury strategy.
In size.
Yeah, in size.
Yeah.
So we were ready to go. The market kind of started to take off, and then we get to November 5th. And at 8 p.m. on November 5th, Bitcoin is high 60s, and nobody knows whether it's going to be a blue sweep or a red sweep or a red and white and blue or...
Bitcoin and the entire cryptocurrency market have always been akin to a roller coaster ride, thrilling yet unpredictable. The latest numbers from CoinGlass paint a rather bleak picture for most cryptocurrencies this Sunday, with more than $89 million in liquidations shaking the market. Bitcoin, the undeniable ruler, is barely budging, down just 0.45% in the last 24 hours. As of writing, its subtle dance around the $96,000 mark makes traders wait with bated breath for the next grand movement.
Some people hate volatility, right? The mainstream normies.
Yeah, they do.
They hate it.
Yeah.
But if you go to Susquehanna and you said, we're going to strip the volatility from MicroStrategy, we wouldn't have $100 billion, $95 billion open interest. Do you know what happens when you strip the volatility from a company our size? I know, because I have another company that I started, and the other company is twice as big as MicroStrategy in revenue and twice as big in EBITDA, and it's well run, and it's just a great company. The open interest is $5 million.
Wow.
We're $98 billion as I'm speaking to you right now. So stripping the volatility out of the business is like spraying the fire with a fire extinguisher, or literally, you're not pouring gas on the flame, you're pouring water on the flame intentionally, right? Whereas what we're doing is pouring gasoline on the flame. If you ever study an internal combustion engine and look at how it works, the point is to channel and compress, supercharge. Turbocharge the fire.
And direct it.
Not put it out.
Right.
Right? So there's a big market, a $300 trillion market for, fixed income, coupon generating, principal protected, low volatility instruments. There's another massive market, $100 trillion market for equity like S&P, SPY, Vanguard 500, QQQ, that kind of, something that gives you 15, just beat the S&P performance. And if you and if you do it with less vol or less risk, then why don't I just give you trillions of that? So there's that market. Then there's the Bitcoin market, which is, I want Bitcoin upside. And of course, there's $100 billion now, I guess, in that market right now. But, at MicroStrategy, and then there's the convertible arbitragers, right? And the convertible arbitragers, they're like, I'm going to buy 50 million of your paper. I'm going to short 40 million or 35 million of your stock. And then as the stock moves around, I'm going to adjust the short.
Right.
And I'm extracting that premium risk-free. And that's their thing. And that's what they do. When I meet with them, by the way, I'm like, I see you guys every, few weeks or every quarter. Nice to see you again. By the way, that thing that you shorted tripled. Like my advice, what I say to them, they don't take my advice. No, it's okay. It's okay. Now, everybody's got to do their thing. The short's got to be short. The long's got to be long. The trader's got to trade, right? The haters got to hate. The maxis are going to maxi. Everybody's going to do their thing. That's fine. But what I say to them is, this is like 75% Bitcoin upside. Actually, it's like 70% MicroStrategy upside. It's 100% Bitcoin upside, no downside. Right? Like, that is to say, if Bitcoin crashed 90% tomorrow, you're still getting paid. Bitcoin could go down 95% tomorrow and stay there for 5 years. You're still getting paid.
Michael Saylor's messaging came as a beacon amid this market haze, a call to arms for hodlers worldwide, urging people worldwide to hold on to their bitcoins and don't sell, as it strengthens the network they participate in. Strategy, formerly known as MicroStrategy, has shown unwavering faith in Bitcoin's long-term value proposition. After a temporary pause in January, they've returned to the Bitcoin buying battlefield with gusto, acquiring assets worth $742.4 million between February 3rd and 9, according to their latest filings. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
There is some momentum building for an upgrade to Bitcoin. I think one of the least controversial and more widely accepted one is this op check template verify. Gives you some better encumbrance tools, so you could do like vaults and like other types of custody. Do you have thoughts on that specifically, or in general Bitcoin upgrade sort of philosophy?
I'm very conservative on development. I think we should go forward very carefully, very, very carefully with consensus and think hard. I think I will go on the record. I think the biggest threat to Bitcoin is overfunded, enthusiastic developers that want to do something cool, that want to make it better. And I actually think if you look at the history of every empire and the fall of every empire, everyone, Rome, Greece, they always reach a peak and they collapse from within because a bunch of overfunded lawyers write laws to make things better, right? And I think in this particular case, the developers are the lawyers, and the code they're writing are the laws. And they kind of look at it and they're like, well, I learned how to write code and I want to be meaningful. I want to make my fame. I want to be famous. I want to earn my fortune. I want to make you could be cynical, right? And say, look, they're lobbyists that want to, it's like when a guy shows up in DC and says, I have a new idea to protect the snail darter fish and improve the environment, and it cost everybody $1 million, right? You're like, well, it seems like they're very self-interested. That's the cynical view.
As Bitcoin hovers just shy of its 50-day moving average of $96,000, the horizon contains possibilities of significant upward mobility. Analysts tout its resilience and potential to crest $100,000, a milestone that has captured worldwide attention once before. However, this journey requires patience. But what do you think? Share your thoughts. And finally, if you would like to know more about cryptocurrencies or specifically Bitcoin, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.